Okay, my Xbox really struggled to boot today. I do have the second Xbox and an HDD transfer cable, so I'll have to do that before next week's episode. I understand that's kind of a hassle. Okay, we're gonna do a couple races on A with my current settings, then I'm gonna turn traction assist off. I was really having to like slam the top of my Xbox to get the laser to engage. It's like getting scary that I'm gonna break it. I have to hit it so hard. Hey, how you doing? Oh, well, I forgot that button. B is shift up. It's too late for me to swap it. I'm probably going to forget every episode, but I guess I'm opposed to the B button being anything other than a negative factor going down, canceling, right? So it's weird that it's going up. I think there is a setting for me to swap those two, but... way too much shifting at the beginning. Okay. Seeing how much I remember from last week, which isn't very much. Right. Can't crash into people. Too late. That's cool that they make them fully remappable, though. Audio looks okay in OBS. Let me know if it's too loud or quiet. Telling you, every time that exhaust backfire happens, I'm like, oh my god. My mom saw that and I'm gonna get grounded. I need to like train myself into thinking it's a cool thing. I'm gonna get pulled over. See if I'm ever able to overtake these guys. Be in the wolf pack for the whole race. I have 4 laps to do it, so it's reasonable. I know it's not a big deal. It's really funny though that every time I see it, I'm like, oh god. It's like a jump scare every time. So in real racing, I would get punished for going over the grass like that. But here, as long as it doesn't let the opponent overtake, it's probably fine. Just wondering if I should like mentally punish myself whenever I do something that's not on the racing line, or if a pass is a pass is a pass, as long as it doesn't cause damage to the car. I appreciate why they added the sticky thing. It's artificial, but makes you play the game more the way you're intended to enjoy it, I think. I guess I will cleave tenaciously onto any kind of gameplay abstraction in this. Oh man, that's a very obvious, deliberate design choice to force the player to play it in a certain way, as envisioned by the creators. Newer games have penalties, or they can be inconsistent. Do they work on like a time penalty or something? I see. Hey, sir, how you doing? I'm gonna get annihilated when I turn the traction assist off. There's no way. I'm doing okay right now. It's very hard. And I'm not like sliding into the gate constantly, so. Yeah, and that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do it in A class. I'm gonna get obliterated. I'm gonna drop it down to E, because I think that's the best way for me to learn. It's by working in extremes. It was actually somewhat satisfying last week to switch to turn on manual transmission, be horrible at the game, and then work my way back up to at least being able to play it. And you said you can get better performance if you play manual transmission? You have more control, I guess? I'd also be interested to know, like, at what times manual is likely to be more beneficial than automatic. I'm guessing the automatic transmission is trying to emulate how a real car shifts gears. It's not just trying to shift it for you optimally, right? Shifts too early, it takes longer to shift, I see. It's kind of interesting. Is that just an abstraction of the game design, that playing with all the assists off gives you more options? Or is that true in reality too, that anything that you can depend on the car to do for yourself, a human being can do better? I guess that's not necessarily intuitive. for certain things. That guy's mouth. All right, I really like the delighted face on this one, but we have so many delighted faces. We have to go for something a little different here. Looks like a bug face. A little like a bug who's just constantly screaming. Sure. I mean, I imagine there has to be some hypothetical assist that a computer is just better at managing than a human, period. I tend to believe in the ability of humans more than computers in 99% of cases, but with a car, it's like there's got to be something that humans just aren't quick enough on the uptake or whatever, right? Difficulty. All right, time to get annihilated, y'all. I apologize in advance. This is going to be a shit show. So how can I tell when I need to when I'm having a problem that's going to require me to let off the gas? Before I was trying to look when the TCS was activating, but I don't know how to look for when I'm screwing up now that it's off. Wow. Can I see somewhere that I'm spinning the wheels? Is that based on sound only? I don't think I can see that in the damage indicator, right? Smoke, sound, and controller vibration. So the controller will vibrate when the wheels are spinning. If so, that's actually kind of cool, because without thinking about it at all, my brain is already like subconsciously interpreting controller rumble as a problem. Maybe it's been rumbling in other cases, like when I'm going off-road or something. Yeah, realistic Mario Kart, exactly. Scary realistic, you can tell her. Like, actually it requires me to be very careful while I'm steering and using gas and the like. Or the car will go sliding off the road. Oop. That's cool. I'm not sliding off the track as much as I thought, but I'm also not doing super well. Good night, Kaihan. So they reserve the vibration primarily for tire spinning feedback? That's pretty cool. Is that how you would get feedback in an actual car? You'd like feel it in the steering wheel or something? Right. It's interesting that they have a lot of choices of when they want to use haptic feedback, and to reserve it for that is kind of cool. It's also super interesting that my brain apparently already made those connections without doing anything with traction off up to this point. This is much less of a shit show than I was envisioning it was going to be. I can tell that it's harder though. Front wheel drive is helping with that, I see. Yeah, I'm not like tooting my own horn that I'm like, I've got this mastered or anything, but I'm just surprised that my brain has been able to internalize this as much as it has. Because before today, I have never let my index finger off the accelerator. Right, it's either been at 100 or 0. But here I'm just kind of like automatically pushing it halfway down or whatever, just based on the game's feedback. Even before you told me that it was the rumble that was doing it. That's kind of neat. I am very compelled by games that are able to teach you passively like that. I need to drop way down here. Coming at it way too fast. Oh. I looked away for a second, and that was a mistake. I'll be more careful about when I choose to look at chat here. Straightaways, probably. So is tire grip... How do I phrase this question not stupidly? Do I have to worry more about controlling for traction on a turn versus a straightaway? Or on a straightaway versus a turn, or it doesn't matter, or it depends? I have no like physical intuition for how tires grip the road. Despite being married to a physicist, I have surprisingly little physical intuition in general, just because I never took any physics classes in school. Like, they happen to not require them. So I probably know more about, like, astrophysics than I do about, like, friction, which is probably not great. In a turn, your tires are working harder, so yes, you need to worry more. Okay, gotcha. Okay, that went better than I was expecting. I'm going to finish out this course, so then I am going to drop down to E and work my way back up to A. The force making your car turn is the friction on the tires, so traction matters more in turns. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if the fact that you're able to travel faster on a straightaway would make your tires slip more because you're like physically able to accelerate more or something. But that's again because I lack any physical intuition for this kind of thing. So thanks for helping to explain it. Seems like, are your tires likely to spin more when the race is first starting if you're accelerating too much? So they give you that, like, tire temperature thing. Is that effectively irrelevant beyond the first, like, few seconds of the race? Do they functionally actually get significantly colder just during a normal race? Accelerate more smoothly instead of upshifting quickly. Okay. Computer gets identical punishment for going off-road that I do, right? Turns really sharp. Okay. I haven't seen the other cars this much in the other race. Oh shit, I think we're okay. I accidentally downshifted when I was trying to upshift to make sure I didn't blow my engine. I think I was going slow enough that it wasn't a big deal. Oh. I wonder if you were going to make the hypothetical modern, like, roguelike racer we were talking about, if you would want there to always be traffic. Because I do think a basic asymmetry of the racing game of the person in first place doesn't have to deal with bullshit anymore. is maybe bad for the genre. Didn't mean to do that. Calculated. Totally was trying to do that. Oops. I feel like there's no way I could spend all of the credits I'm accruing in my wildest dreams on things that I would like actually want. The thing you spend credits on is buying new cars that haven't been awarded to you, right? Now, if I'm presented a set of 3 cars and I choose car B, are cars A and C now only obtainable via purchasing them? Or can they show up again in a choice screen later? See. Oh, that's kind of cool. So I didn't realize that. I was under the impression that like every time it was giving me a car pop up, it was like drawing from some random pool of 3 that were related in some way. You're saying every time you get to level 10, it gives every level 10 player the same set of 3 cars or whatever. So is there a way for y'all as the audience to perceive when my tires are spinning without holding the controller and feeling the vibration? Are you like listening for the sound from the game or something? That's really subtle rumble. That's really cool. I like that a lot. Let's do that again. Generally trend towards higher class. I thought they gave me a really fancy car relatively early. I am still having to rewind a lot. I have to keep that in mind, to register that in my brain as like anti-dopamine. It's very easy the way this game is structured to just like rewind 5 times in a race and be like, yeah, I got first place in the race, no problem. It's like, well, you wouldn't have if it wasn't for the rewind, right? Need to like mod the game so that the lady from Game of Thrones rings the shame bell every time I rewind. It plays the "you died" sound effect. I see. Really? I could crank that if I keep placing first. Maybe I want to wait to do that. I guess I could do it now. Let's see. I thought there were only the 3. I thought it was just easy, medium, and hard. You said there's more than that? That still happens. My brain does not want the B button to be shift up. Well, I guess now's my chance to turn that on, so... Opponent difficulty, hard, professional. Okay, so there's 4. That's a big jump. We'll see what happens. Should be a good humbling experience to play a class on hard here and just get smoked. And we'll see if I can get back to placing first if we drop back to the lower classes here. Oh, jeez. Really? Yeah. Not a good start for me. Real. Yeah, and also I assume there's a added difficulty of just not being in first for most of the race makes the whole race harder. Every turn you now have to worry more about shit. Trying to find a hole to fit in is how I've been thinking about it. That's valid. Not last at the moment. Oops, I got excited looking at the damage meter and stopped looking at where my car was going. Too much damage. Is professional like brutal difficulty, like the developer ghosts in Mario Kart hard, or is it still pretty reasonable once you've been playing it a lot to be able to beat them routinely? Gotcha. It might be for me, but I'm just curious, like for a hardcore player. Gotcha. Can I stay in 5th place is the question. Don't want to do that. Ah, I see. Good enough to wall up all your friends, not good enough to play it competitively or anything. Wow, first and second are just gone. Yeah, this is a nice, more humbling experience. I guess switching the traction control off wasn't like okay, it's just going to be a nightmare of crashing into the gates constantly, like manual transmission was. You get by, okay. Wow, this race is long as hell, damn. Did not brake hard enough there. I think the racing line in this game is really good. I wish that it would, in addition to how long the red is, I wish it made the red darker or went down into black or something for extreme braking scenarios. Just the way I look at the game, I'm looking more at what's right in front of my face. Maybe that's something I need to learn not to do. If I play a game like Rock Band, I'm never looking at the notes in front of my face. I'm always looking at the top of the chart and then like mentally cueing the rest of it. Yeah. Scarlett Johansson, Giancarlo Esposito. A couple people with racing last names. It's difficult for me to like cue the racing line at the moment the way I do a Guitar Hero track though. Yeah, that's not acceptable. I think I need to brake more, that's what I'm learning here. Maybe just on this track. I've been able to get away with just kind of not accelerating. Poor man's brake. Okay. But keeping the braking. Yeah, right now the game for me is just watching the racing line, which maybe isn't great. Right. Which aren't very helpful anyway, or at least I'm not particularly obeying them. I don't think I'm internalizing anything at all about them, though. Like, I don't think it being on is helping me to learn anything. I'm not sure. I feel like the problem with me turning it off is that I have no memory of these tracks. Like, as far as I know, I've never done this track before. You might tell me that you've done this track like 10 times, and I'd be like, oh, okay. Because I assume you basically need to have the track memorized to turn it off, right? Not necessarily sight readable, especially with the way, like, here you have to, like, climb up, so part of the racing line, part of the road itself gets obscured. It's part of the song always freaks me out, because there's a person whispering in it. He was like, is someone in my house? Great. Yeah. I'm just, I'll try it. I'm just not sure with the stream format you'll ever see me retain any of these, like, tracks in the way I might, like, temporarily remember the layout of a Metroidvania or something, right? Let's see. Big face. Small face. Oh, he's got that, like, kind of, like, tired corners of the eyes drawn up like this. Do that. Worried? Let's go with a worried face. Yeah, there you go. I have that one memorized for all eternity. Yeah, we can give it a try. I'm not saying I won't try it, but I can't promise much, I guess is my point. Okay, so we're going back to E now. And I guess I should change cars. I've been on the same car for so long. Literally drive this car until the game is over. It's probably too old to have good tires. I guess I can just never use an old car, which is kind of a bummer. To figure out, like, what's the latest possible car I can take. Could probably downgrade. Slightly angry face. It's angry but not cool looking. Oh, but I didn't mean to go on a world tour. Shit, I'm back out of this. And ratchets up the competition with performance coupes and probably do these toward the end now. The event list is better in the meantime.
Today we return to New Hampshire for another event on the winding track at Maple Valley Raceway.
We won't actually. Okay, so buy cars. All affordable cars. Ford Ka. One based on face, I guess. Oh, that one has like the little blush cheeks and a super happy face. Nissan Micra. That one's got a fun face too. Car tokens you buy with money, like real world money, theoretically, before they brought the servers down. Okay. I haven't done any Class F. Start here, I guess. Oh, really? Okay, well, I could switch off of it after this race. Did the screen where I bought it say that? Gave me some like basic look at. Oh, did it even say it was electric is what I mean. It just looked like it had normal car stats and I grabbed it because of the face. I do like that it has no engine sound. The Leaf was a hybrid. Shows what I know. That's kind of interesting. Can you explain why electric cars don't need transmissions? What's different about the way combustion engine works that requires one when an electric car doesn't? Is it just that they're by default lower performance or something? Play a Formula E game. I heard Formula E has like really comical, there's like speed strips. Like in Mario Kart when you drive over them, like they can make your car go faster. Or they'll do things like, I don't know if they still do this, but I remember reading about this, like whichever driver had the best Twitter following would get a speed boost at a certain point in the race. Like what the fuck? Might be good for getting used to hard AI. Okay. Yeah, even without having to worry about shifting, I'm not doing great here, so I can stay on it for a bit and loop back around. It is weird not having engine sound. Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay. Oh, it does do the ghost engine sound, okay. Interesting. That's kind of neat. I sort of assumed from our discussion about bicycles that the need for gears was just kind of a reality. Need for a transmission, I mean. Okay. Necessity of transmission is dependent on power source. So it makes sense when you're riding a bike because the power source is your legs. It's affecting how much work you have to put in, turn the wheels. So I get the sense that, like, with a gas engine, there's just so much energy you can harvest out of making an explosion compared to what you would need to do with an electric car to accomplish the same thing, right? Because the question then is, like, other than for cynical reasons, why aren't we, like, always racing electric cars, right? Because they're more expensive, they don't perform as fast. Tech isn't there yet, the tech will never be there. Is there a physical limitation on, like, what a battery can support? Power density, okay, that makes sense. That I have a bit more of an intuition for than, like, more routine, like, high school physics stuff like friction. Heavier, you can't refuel the mid-race. I'm surprised they haven't come up with a racing car. Well, this is like the very, very normal pedestrian electric car's hot take, but, you know, you just literally swap out the whole battery at, like, a pit stop. Why can't I just go to a gas station and swap out my battery for a full battery? So I guess there's a lot of reasons why we don't do that yet. It's extremely heavy and an integral component of the car. Yeah, I always read that question as a why don't they just? It's like, we're not, like, swapping out double A's here, bud. But I never had, like, looked into why we don't just do that. Great. Which is less of an issue with exploding gas. Sure, yeah. I like that I can enjoy the soundtrack more with the electric car. I've never watched Formula E, only heard of it, but like, are they really pushing boundaries there? I've always kind of understood Formula One as here's a chance for all these constructors to like really push the boundaries of what's possible when it comes to like aerodynamics. Sort of like the speech in Devil Wears Prada where Miranda Priestley is talking about how the main character's like blue sweater that came off the rack from Kmart is a descendant of something the fashion industry did like years ago, right? I assume that that's kind of something similar is happening at play with something like Formula One racing, that you're not going to get all of the crazy innovations from Formula One are going to make it down to the Ford Fiesta or whatever, but to some extent it's the bleeding edge. Yeah. Not quite as much anymore, sure. Yeah, it feels like the mechanics of like a Formula One car are so different from the way a regular person uses a car for commuting that I doubt they have much interaction at all. Yeah. Okay, better handle on the AI there. Sure, that makes sense. I'll do one more on the Leaf in the F class, and then I'll go back to a non-electric car in the E class. Probably bad that I'm not constantly having to shift, although it's a joy. Oh, sure, I didn't think about that. Approaching the human limit for drivers, that is. Right, most of them don't. The vast majority of them don't. Formula anything cars, right? Or non-luxury cars in the case of like Red Bull, right? They're like in the top 3 constructors. I assume Red Bull just like bankrolls everything. Are the people who do the construction for Red Bull like affiliated with some other car manufacturer primarily? Yeah. I'm very intrigued by the premise of F1. So I have a friend who's super into it. Showed us the Netflix documentary. Showed us a couple races. It's not something I think I would ever like care to watch, but the kind of constructor versus driver, human limit, competing for third, fourth, and fifth place stuff is pretty interesting to me. People buys them, I see. Haven't there been like seasons of F1 where like one of the constructors' car concepts is just like shit, and so they're gonna place terribly for the whole season now? There's like fuck all we can do about it. It's funny. Wow. Pass out. I think I can get away more with not braking in this car. That went much more poorly for me than I thought it was going to. It's an F-class thing? Okay. Mm-hmm. Really? Okay, I guess that makes sense. The big hunk of metal wants to keep going even when you let off the gas. Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. Andrea got a plug-in hybrid because most of her commuting is like 5 miles in town, and it has that regenerative thing. Nice. Yeah, she had her car finally died like a year and a half ago. We had to get a new one. But unfortunately, because Los Alamos is so remote, it's like going to the airport is slightly too long than the available charge on most pure EV batteries, so the plug-in hybrid was the best option for us. We use gas like a couple times a year. Okay. Buy a different car. Yeah, I had that problem with my motorcycle. 120 miles to the gallon. Because you burn through it pretty quick, but if I didn't ride it for a while, I'd have to siphon it out. It's annoying. Stick on Nissan. This is not an electric car, right? The Micra. I do like the face with the blush. It's rear-wheel drive, so that'll force me to try something different, right? Yeah, this doesn't say, like, I guess it just expects you to know that that's an electric car. Oh, is it? Okay. Must have misread the little image there in the corner. What sorts of cars tend to be rear-wheel drive? Older cars? I want to get the check mark on this, but I also don't want to redo a race ever. Cheap modern cars. Let's see. Oh wow, really struggling there at the start. I guess I can't skip first gear like I can with some of the faster cars. Give me my leaf back. I missed my leaf. Let's drive a leaf for the rest of the game. Yeah. Exactly. Forza's purpose as art is to convince the player to appreciate all of the features of modern car design that don't require them to care about any of these things. Didn't work out as well for me as I thought it was about to. Paid for it a second later. Picked the wrong time to look at chat! I see what you mean about the traction thing not really mattering on the lower cars. I'm not even feeling the controller rumble at all. Keep driving off the course. Appreciate that, y'all. You're helping me out here. Does this game have any rubber banding? It feels like it doesn't, but I did have that race where I didn't even see first and second place until the final lap, and then suddenly I could see them. Oh, that was just a coincidence. Ooh, it's much stickier than it's been sometimes. It like gets stickier the further into the grass you get, the bunker. This turn is the death of me. Do I actively want to be driving a bit into the red here to get as much power as possible? It seemed like when I was in the A class, like I needed to shift right when I got into red because it would start hitting the limiter immediately. Not very clean. I can fix this. But optimally, you get like to within a millimeter or a pixel of it hitting the limiter. Wow, these like look like snakes or like someone with severe head trauma. They all kind of look like snakes, actually. This guy's doing too much. Kind of a nerd snake. We'll go with the nerd snake. Oh, the logo is literally a snake. So what's the difference between like a high performance like Lamborghini and a race car? I've unlocked like Lamborghinis already, I think. I'm sure the answer is one is meant for driving on the road, one is meant for racing, but like, is it as giant of a gulf as like a Lamborghini and a Formula One car? lighter, more downforce than modern road cars. I haven't asked this question before, but like, this game definitely looks good enough. Like, do the modern Forza games look like substantively better than this? I'm trying to imagine them being able to. Like, what would they show? The light coming through the fences or something? This game's like 13 years old. I guess you could use some like anti-aliasing. Probably harder to notice on stream because the bitrate I'm streaming at is making things relatively blurry compared to what I'm looking at on the screen here, but these are definitely my largest VOD at the moment because of how many pixels are changing every frame. Sure, yeah. I understand that like high fidelity is kind of more crucial to this genre than it is to a lot of other genres, but I still have to assume that there's a level at which it's good enough for the same gameplay for most people. Okay, that's an argument for actual new gameplay mechanics, like weather and time is kind of cool. Makes sense to me. So it's not always necessarily just this, but, you know, PS5 to PS4. I guess it's technically PS3 era. Donkey put out a video about the PS5 recently that's pretty funny, the whole PS5 have no games thing, so they're planning to retire it and move on to the PS6. It's like, well, what did you do? I guess I'm fine with consoles just becoming kind of a cheaper, more user-friendly PC in most cases, and all of those games making it to PC. I don't know that the console exclusive is a good thing for art in the first place. I heard kind of the pro-capitalist argument that, oh, console exclusives mean that games that might not otherwise get funding and get made. And I guess it does seem like a lot of those like manufacturer funded exclusives tend to have pretty big budgets and tend to be relatively off the leash, but I don't know. I'm not sure that Bloodborne is better for being locked to the PS4. When they do weather, do they like actually significantly change the handling? I assume they don't do anything with just temperature. Gotcha. I notice all the tracks in this will say like what temperature it is, but I assume that doesn't like meaningfully affect the car handling or the tires or anything. Make a racing sim game about having to drive in recently plowed snow. You have to get out and put a little piece of cardboard under your tire. That's where I understand friction intuitively. That's cool. Rain's still pretty crazy. Do hydroplaning, I guess. Oh wow. Sometimes I like briefly space out that I'm playing a racing sim and start trying to play it like Mario Kart again, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go completely off the track now, aren't I? But I was slightly less vigilant on tapping the analog stick. Might be finally seeing a hole in the auto upgrade system. Yeah, it does seem like really a struggle for me to catch up to the car in first. Skill issue. The Leaf I was able to assign significantly less brain power to shifting and just driving. If it didn't have regenerative braking, when I was on the Leaf, I was literally like never pressing the brake. I was just letting off the gas, and that was enough to make the red turn yellow and green. That was like another thing I didn't have to think about. Oops. Oh, it was. Sometimes I don't think about how tapping the brake can cause my car to start behaving unexpectedly. I've had that happen while driving in snow. It's harder for me to wrap my head around what's going on when it happens just through normal driving like this. Yeah, I agree. I don't think Mario Kart would be improved by like AI traffic that threw shells at you and stuff. I think it would just put everyone in the wolf pack and the game would be frustrating for everyone, but I am wondering if the asymmetry of being in first being way easier, kind of like a snowballing victory effect, right, is a problem for trying to make a more video gamey racing game. Hey, Alfalfa, how you doing? It's a problem even in real racing. Does anyone try to solve it? Does anyone try to have like cars that are constantly on the track? I saw that there was that one race in this game earlier where it was like it was pitting different classes against each other. So presumably there would always be somebody you have to pass. That was in the World Tour, I think. Yikes. Oh, that's interesting. I haven't heard that before. It's like, have you never actually watched a NASCAR event? Like, are you always dealing with cars around you in NASCAR no matter how well you're doing, period? Like, does the person in first place ever realistically lap the person in last place? I haven't heard people complain about that really significantly with F1, that F1 can have like giant stretches of races with like virtually no overtakes, or there'll be like one overtake and it'll be like the most dramatic thing in the history of the sport. And it's like, is this okay that we have a sport where like this never happens? And so people are just kind of like watching for crashes or whatever because there's literally something happening. very interesting to me to think about, like, kind of, for lack of a better word, geometric problems in game design and sport design, right? Where it's like this, you're up against some kind of natural limit to the shape of things. There's nothing you can really do with the rules that's going to fix this without generating other problems. Rare, meaningful overtakes and constant, inconsequential overtakes, sure. I still have no idea if I've ever been on this track before in my life. I'm like actively trying to pay closer attention to see if I remember stuff. I remember the map with the Alps, which I haven't been on in a while. And I remember the map with the big banked turn. This is literally the same one I was just on. Cool. Gandalf, I have no memory of this place meme. I'd have my dream of a downshift to overtake. That's how I would pass people in real life in a stick shift or motorcycle. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, those cars seem unapproachable. We'll see. Just like a Nissan problem? Maybe I can try looking for like a memorable landmark. Okay, this one has a Ferris wheel in it. It doesn't tell me anything about the turns at all, though. Okay, I can try buying another one here. By car. Another snake face. This guy looks way too cool. Oh, he's got silly ears. Do I like the silly ears, though? I don't know. They're kind of growing on me. Yeah, let's go with silly ears. What a dork. Okay, backing out. This was D. Okay. I want to just grab the first. 2001. Very goofy face. This guy is tired. I kind of like the tired car. Hopefully it's not too old. It's like Eeyore. I do Eeyore gray. Can I downgrade it down into D? Let's see. No. Very little room to downgrade. Okay. Bye, Eeyore. Can I sort by class? I don't really care about the manufacturer. I understand why they sort it that way, but it like means nothing to me. All affordable. Okay. I probably want to get the shittiest car, saying, oh, let's do a bug. That works. Really? Why would they even show it? Oh, I know why they would show it to me. Okay. Let's do a Yaris. My brother-in-law is a car guy. I should ask him what car I should look for. Okay. So if I do a race and place worse than third, there will be essentially be no record of it at all on the event list, right? I might have to start paying attention. Sense. It's damaged a brake, I think. This one has mountains. Signs that say Bridgestone. An Xbox 360 sign. Big tire-shaped arch that you drive under. If I call attention to them, I can start to notice them. Is there like a rainbow road of Forza, like a track that people are particularly stoked to play on from entry to entry? Real world ones. Really? Okay. Just really a lot of tight turns and stuff. Have I raced on that one already? Ah, okay. Gotcha. Oh, that's kind of cool. That's exciting. That sounds like structure. That sounds like something that they want to like withhold a little bit. I'm excited for that. I'll try to save the World Tour for the very end as opposed to just doing it at the beginning. Yeah, once again, I can make it to third place, and then first and second just feel completely out of reach. I don't know if there's like a total skill issue that the computer is just really good at taking some of these turns and I'm only taking middlingly. I assume it's a skill issue, but I need to like learn what's causing it, right? I have a feeling that's maybe not justified, that if I was able to pass them at the crucial beginning of the race, that they wouldn't then pass me later, but That's probably just a result of my use of rewind, though, that if I get passed, I rewind. If I take a turn, I don't know, 70% optimally, it doesn't register as a mistake, so I don't rewind it. You see. Sure. Now, we haven't really talked about the AI in this series before. You said that that's relatively important to, like, the game feel for somebody who's really trying to play it seriously. I guess I haven't really thought too much about racing game AI because I'm just, like, immersed in a atmosphere of perpetual rubber banding, which almost totally papers over however the AI is actually performing. It's interesting, I can't think of another, like, genre of video game that has that sort of problem with its AI routines where it just kind of permanently gets to cheat. Oh god, that was bad. Shifted in the wrong direction. And not cheat in like a, I'm gonna cheat to beat the player, but there's a way in racing games to make the race feel more exciting without actually putting any work to make the AI feel like a real person driving a car in a competition against you, right? Just kind of the layout of a racing game means that there's a lot of trickery you can do to make it feel like you're neck and neck, but it's like entirely artificial. It's not emerging out of the base rules. I train the AI with machine learning. Interesting. Are you able to articulate the ways in which it feels worse? Is it like too good, or I guess inconsistency would be the worst problem, right? That if it does really well on one track and really poorly on another track. The machine learning would produce a car that would be interesting to drive against, because I'm trying to imagine the way you would do that, right? You would just give the car a cookie if it gets a better time than the last time it went through the lap, and you kind of like randomize the inputs. You try to like preserve some of the inputs that are correlated with doing well in prior trials, right? Competitive in pace, but the racecraft hasn't kept up. Can you give an example of what you mean by racecraft? Okay. Interesting. Try to actively be better about letting it get deeper into the red before I shift. Having an issue, let's see if I can explain it. I'll get into the red on second gear, I'll shift into third gear, and shortly afterward make a very slight turn in the green. And I guess that slight turn in the green decelerates me enough that I need to downshift right back into second gear, and I don't realize that that's happened. It wasn't as much of a noticeable problem in the A class earlier. Let's go further back. Yeah, I'm gonna go further. It's pretty handy for streaming Prince of Forza, exactly. I feel like that's the kind of cool abstract game mechanic this genre needs more of. Like the car haunting ability in Driver San Francisco. It's so wild to me that that happened once and then never again. How old is Driver San Francisco? It's like 15 years old or something. What the fuck? Really? Okay. And then society just... the future refused to change. We just stopped thinking about a racing game, but... have we even had like a Burnout Takedown type over-the-top ridiculous racing game concept since then? What if racing game, but when you slam into your opponent, you like magically pancake them into a wall in a one of the best feeling mechanics in the history of video games. Doesn't make sense, who cares? It rules. I think I might be perpetually in third place. We'll see. It's a good place to keep practicing, though. It's probably better than just sitting, resting on my laurels in first all the time. Not having to actually race. Right. I guess it's interesting because you want to think of it as arcade versus sim, but I think there's another line in there, right? Like, I don't even know if I would call Driver San Francisco an arcadey racing game. Like, I mean, sure, it's not simulationist, but novel racing concept, maybe, right? Cool abstraction. I guess for folks who aren't aware, Driver San Francisco is a game where that game is so weird. The title is the most boring title in the world. You are a ghost, and as a ghost, you can possess cars. So, but you're not like an actual person like GTA. You're never allowed to get out of the car. So you have to solve all these story problems exclusively as a ghost that can possess cars. And so you'll like be driving around on the car, and you can activate ghost mode and jump from the car you're currently controlling to any other car on the road, right? I wish that game had a better title, because Driver San Francisco does not convey what a like insane concept that is. And so you have all these cool missions where it's like, okay, you have to like, you know, crash into this ambulance and knock it off the road or something. And you like try to slam into it from one car and you miss, and so you just jump out of the car and you possess another car and try to hit it again. Like, it feels really good. What if Ghost Trick was a Cars game? Yeah. It's like a brilliant idea, and it's like, why aren't there like dozens of games like this that just have a really like weird, crazy concept like that for racing games? I do not think this car fares very well in the C-Class. We'll see though. Don't want to blame the car. It's almost certainly a skill issue. Oh. Yeah, exactly. Instead, we're in weird, boring sandbox sim world, apparently. Oops. Didn't even self-perform poorly. I guess part of it, and maybe this isn't accurate and someone who's a fan of racing games can set me straight on it, but like, it feels like the goal of the simulation has largely been reached, and like each successive entry in the franchise is just, it's not like adding a new mechanic or tracking something that previously wasn't possible to track with older technology. It's just like adding very, very, very small, diminishing returns, incremental improvements. So I could see trying to like push the sim racer from the PS1 to the PS2 to the PS3 to today, as the tech gets better. And I guess you'll get like sports games, right, where it's like, okay, we've perfected the American football game, but I still want to see American football with the current roster of famous players in the NFL or something, right? But that doesn't feel like, I haven't played very many sports games. That's still a black hole, or that sucked. That's still a big empty space in my familiarity with video games, but I still get the sense that like no one has made the perfect football game yet. That even football games are still coming up with new concepts and mechanics and modes and stuff to do, even if they get teased for being roster updates. Yeah, I guess it's a problem that we got NBA Jam as this kind of like arcadey, goofy, basketball-inspired game, and then like fuck all in that genre for years and years. Assume the perfect football game was in like 2004. Stop looking at chat at bad times. Stakes are getting higher for glancing away from the game now. Third is my objective now. I'd like to at least make sure there's a medal marked on the race, so I remember not to do it again. Great. So I guess to some extent, you know, I can see why I feel like indie developers are going to recreate Super Metroid until the end of time. And you could make the same argument. It's like, do you guys really want to just keep remaking Super Metroid over and over? Like, we realize now that Metroidvania upgrades all kind of degenerate to the same set of things. Like, there's the double jump, the triple jump, the infinite jump, the speed boost, right? You could maybe come up with like one really exciting new progression mechanic that nobody ever thought of before, but chances are it's not super different than what's already been done. But I guess at least with you know, Metroidvania number 783 from indie dev number 28, right? Like, it's like a unique art style, right? It's a new map. It's a new story with new characters. Maybe the triple jump is a pretty silly animation that makes you laugh every time you see it, right? There's still things that you can change, that you haven't just like reached the ideal type of the thing that you're trying to make, and you're still like making it over and over. It's weird. Why wouldn't they make more Driver San Franciscos? Why wouldn't they make more Burnout takedowns? Yeah. Why wouldn't they even say, hey, let's keep it sim, but let's come up with some kind of crazy game mechanic like the rewind in Forza 4 that kind of recontextualizes the sim stuff. It feels like an almost like weird, like dogmatic, like, well, it's a sim, so it has to be realistic, so we can't put anything in it that's not realistic. But like an American football game, right, like, is not... Maybe that's the problem, like, because you're playing a video game, the experience of like controlling the whole team, that's not how football works, right? You are not this like god entity who can control different players at the same time. And to my knowledge, nobody's made a football game about playing as literally a single like first-person view player on the field, or even if that would be a fun concept, you know. But it seems like simulationist racing games actually end up hewing kind of close to what it's actually like to drive. So you can't say, okay, well, we're forced to abstract this, this, and this, so let's like recalibrate what we're abstracting in this new game. Every JRPG where the AI controls every party member but you. It would probably be a nightmare. It probably wouldn't be fun. But there's kind of like a necessary level of abstraction in team-based sports games that kind of gives rise to ideas for like, well, let's do one that focuses more on the team management, or let's do one that focuses more on calling the plays, or one that's more arcadey like NFL Blitz or whatever, right? A baseball visual novel, exactly, right? That game is so fucking weird. Persona, but you're joining a baseball team. And it's like formally licensed by the MLB, which is the funniest part. It's like they had no idea what they were signing on to. Yeah, so like the primary thing that they've done is moving to like a open world drive around and do whatever mode, right? Like that's the one big change they've made from like this game. Which I guess I could see the merit in that, as much as I don't like the sandbox stuff. Like, I can see why you might want to just drive around on a big map. That's a natural place to take your simulation game, I suppose. Oh, okay. Horizon is the open world one. I was under the impression that they had all pivoted to open world, but that's at least nice that you have two different things. Okay, on this level of AI difficulty, it actually feels pretty satisfying to pull off an overtake. So I'm kind of getting it. I'm still nowhere near there, but... And the, like, why would someone want to play this for 100 hours? That feels pretty good. I need to go pretty far back here, actually. Brake harder there, I guess. Give it a try. Even if I hold the brake all the way through, I don't think I can pull that off. I kind of want to just see if I can do this as smoothly as the racing line suggests I should be able to do. Maybe I'm misreading how realistic the racing line actually is. Yeah, because even if I hold the brake throughout the entire red portion, I just can't turn as much as it wants me to. Racing line isn't like for my car in its current condition, it's for like a hypothetical perfect car. I'm gonna go even further back here and see if it makes a difference. Basic stats, okay. So it might not account for like damage taken, but I could be fancy there. Yeah, exactly. So it just kind of stops. That's one where I took like what felt like a mild turn, but had to drop shift again. It's like something bad's happening every time I shift up. Thought I could be cheesy there, I guess not. not be getting third place this race. Why not get fourth place this race? Blur is it's realistic cars, but it's Mario Kart game. I remember trying that. Too cool. Too boring. Like a reasonable guy. Okay, just let that wash over me. That it doesn't even put like a "you tried and fucked up" button. I would be happy with that. I just wanted to mark that I tried it. They could put a different thing on the main event list screen that's like check mark for all first place, right? Something else for bronze or better, and then something else for you did everything but you sucked at it. Yeah, that keeps happening. I keep like shifting up when it seems correct and then immediately need to shift back down and then have like a ton of room I have to make up. I'm not sure what's happening there. It's usually going to interrogate where that's coming from. Why racing games are stagnant when everything else will just keep getting sequels until the end of the universe. I think we did already discuss that the barrier to entry to make one of these as an indie is extremely high because the game feel is like so important. You can't really make, like, you can make like a kind of a dog shit platformer with kind of a shitty game feel, like La Mulana, right? The actual like Metroidvania part of La Mulana is terrible, and it is a turnoff for some people, but it's not enough of a turnoff to keep you away from the good part. But I think like the racing game equivalent of La Mulana that has some kind of like crazy cool tertiary idea, but the game feel of racing in the car feels terrible. No one's ever gonna play it to get to the good part. Yeah, it happened again there. I shifted up to third and then had to shift down back into second shortly after shifting. Doing something wrong. Trying to mimic an old game. Okay, yeah, so I think I get overtaking as like a dopamine thing. But it's like so hard to do and you get so few opportunities to do it, so when you pull it off and it's clean, it feels pretty good. Yeah, I could see that. The stigma aspect, right? The sports ball. I really want to do my part wherever possible to like quash that. Like, I'll make the roster update joke about Madden, but it's not to denigrate the people who want a good football game. It's because EA can get away with doing, you know, a roster update every year. And because of their fucked up licensing agreements, the American football fan base just kind of has to put up with it, and it sucks. But couched behind that legitimate criticism of the industry, there's a lot of sports ball type folks who will very earnestly say, Madden's just a sports ball game. It's not a real video game. If you like Madden, you're dumb or whatever. And it's like, no. It's a stupid opinion to have. It's just... doesn't care that it feels weird and plays awfully by modern standards, yeah. Which is kind of charming, actually, right? Right. Where it's like I would see that commercial or whatever, and it would just wash over me as a non-product, right? Like before he started putting all these games on the schedule, my conceptualization of racing games was there's Mario Kart and then there's everything else. And I like was kind of aware of like a Blur tried to make everything else but with Mario Kart. But like the idea that Driver San Francisco or Burnout 3 existed was just, those did not occupy separate conceptual space in my brain. And they've done a really bad job of pitching any of that stuff. Yeah, that's fair, Spiky. I don't know if you could make a deliberately idiosyncratic racing game, though, I guess is my point in bringing it up. Like, I think you'd lose the enthusiast and you'd lose the new people who you're trying to convert. Quapature car. This kind of feels like Quapature car, actually, based on the way I expect racing games to handle normally with a controller. Because like you can get really good at Quap and make it look like he's like actually running like a real sprinter, right? But when you first load up Quap, it's like fuck. I imagine there's like a frustrating positive feedback loop too between the folks making the racing games, the teams marketing the racing games, and the audience who are fine with racing games as the way they are. Like, part of the reason we're streaming this on Games Plus Demos and not Forza, I don't think we would get any walk-ins who would be mean. Like, how are you not good at this game, bro, right? Like, they wouldn't be mean, but they would be accidentally exclusionary. I don't know. It's like, if you're a girl and you show up to Dungeons and Dragons night for the first time, and it's all guys, and it's all guys who are forward-thinking and progressive, and they want to include a girl in their game night session for the first time. But the reality is that they've been playing together as a group of all dudes for like 10 years and they literally don't know how to talk to a girl. And so even if they try as hard as they can, they're still going to make things a little bit awkward for the person who's not a member of the club yet, right? They'll like accidentally mansplain, or they'll assume that the new person doesn't know what they're doing, even if they maybe read up on it a lot, right? And I feel like you kind of have this insular like car game fandom that is likely to do the same thing, that maybe a lot of them are actually really cool people and are actually super excited about getting non-car people into the genre, but just kind of through like fully innocent lack of experience don't know when they're doing things that are like intimidating to a new player. I appreciate it. Well, you've seen me boot up into these games, like a warning, I'm going to be really bad at this. Like, I'm sorry. Never played these games before. Because I kind of like perceive that as an outsider. Yeah. We shouldn't feel bad about Tony Hawk. Like, it was very reasonable to just expect that I could pick up that game and just play it, because that's what everybody's done forever. And I think I understand how you can pick up Tony Hawk and have it make sense with the like later entries. But yeah, that first one is brutal for someone just trying to sight read it who has no idea what they're looking at. Yeah, it's kind of a get good kind of an attitude. Yeah, I'm sure that like there's a crosstalk thing happening there where I'm not gonna like blame the boys club or, you know, the car guy club entirely, and I'm not gonna blame the AAA developers entirely, and I'm not gonna blame marketing entirely, but like those three forces are all acting on each other to perpetuate the problem forever, it feels like. I know I cite this constantly to the point where you could make a pretty fun drinking game out of it, but it's our marketing data tells us that girls don't play Legos, so don't market Legos to girls. And then next year, your marketing data says that girls don't play with Legos, so you don't market Legos to girls, right? Like, we've learned that there's only a hardcore audience that'll buy our game. They will buy our game, though, and they'll spend a shitload of money on it on our Real Money shop or whatever. So we can just continually hyper-fixate on that group of folks. But I think it makes things worse for everybody, because you do that and you keep putting out your Forza sequels that just get duller and duller over time, and you never feel like, I want to try to innovate to try to bring in a new crowd, right? Because maybe the people who are super hardcore into Forza right now don't know that they would like that, because they've never been offered it before. Makes sense. I got you. It's certainly been interesting to go through. I'm still bad at this genre, and I don't like intuitively get it still really. But I can like conceptually get it, unlike RTSs, which are still a genre that I'm like, I don't understand how anybody like feels anything other than stress and suffering when they play this. How could this be a source of joy for anyone? Here I can imagine, oh, okay, I bet when you get really good at this, it's like being amazing at QWOP. Or playing a, you know, Guitar Hero song on Expert or whatever. Full comboing it. Whoops, I meant to look behind me. Okay, that's fine. forget what button that is. I'm not about to try to find out now. Front of that car is not looking hot. Is there a kind of car I should be driving to try to improve here, or do we think that maybe me picking, like, boring consumer economy cars is, like, making it harder for me to learn how to drive well? I really wish they didn't let you tinker with the cars so much. I think it really, like, gets in the way of learning how they're supposed to behave and control, and what honestly makes a Toyota Yaris different from a sporty car. I don't know still. I got the sense that the tires on old cars suck. That's the only lesson I've taken from any of this. It's interesting to bring up Dark Souls as a game that has no class identity. But like that's like an at the outset design choice of Dark Souls, whereas here it's like, oh look, there's all this like car identity, but you can overwrite all of it. Sure, you can play as a wizard with a sword and a shield who never casts spells and also has healing magic. Try rear wheel drive again. Okay. Thanks for crashing into the wall, bud. Mr. Watanabe. I do think there's something to the idea that, like, the problem is that unlike virtually every other kind of video game you could try to envision, it is actually relatively possible to get close to the ideal type of a simulationist racer, right? That is as close as possible to actually driving a real race car on a real racetrack, to the point where you have, like, you know, pedals and a steering wheel and everything. You can get much closer to that ideal type than you can with a football game. Like, even the perfect simulation football game needs to make abstract gameplay decisions about, like, who you're controlling, how you're controlling them, and it's never going to mirror the real experience of being a football coach or being a quarterback or playing any particular role on a field, right? And so there's all kinds of room for the genre to take different forms from entry to entry. But here, if your objective is we want to make a racing game that feels as much like real-world racing as we possibly can, like, that is a significantly more achievable objective than I want to make the perfect clone of Slay the Spire, right? You could, like, find some broken cards in Slay the Spire and patch them out. You can add some new interesting mechanics that like mess with the core Slay the Spire gameplay. But your ability to make the last and final deck builder game, it's not going to happen in the way that it could actually happen with a racing game. Oh, that's interesting. At the very end, should have just rewound. Yeah, that sounds amazing. Where, like, while you're driving, you can just kind of change out parts and immediately feel the difference. Stuff like that would be really cool, right? But I feel like even this game's rewind mode is like a excessive appeal to non-realism. Whoa, weird looking robot car. I'm gonna take that one. Cool looking car. Do you think their structure not being light rail motorsport is part of the problem? Do you see that as like additional space for them to progress? Benedict, hey, you eating my taco shells? People's cats, man. I might have to get up and put those away. We'll see. Spritzed him. Maybe I'll leave it alone. Hey, what are you doing? Huh? I just spritzed you. That means stop. You're gonna wait until I'm busy with a race, aren't you? You opened the box. I know some people who have cats that they can like leave food on the table and not worry about it, but with Ben it's like if we don't lock the pantry every day, like he like religiously checks it. We could have kept it locked for like 120 days consecutively, and then the one day we forget, he will always have gotten into it. Oops. Oh yeah, Spiky? Right on. Somebody put an earlier Armored Core game onto stream and it didn't really resonate with me. I don't really get the giant robot replace body parts gameplay, but it sounds like 6 is really good. Has like an actual career mode. say it's still a FromSoft game in terms of like it's just quality. I think this might be the Goldilocks difficulty for me. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do Pro. Right. Where you're not just winning every race. Or like the objective here is to come in 6th place or whatever. Gotcha. I'd be interested in trying it on stream at some point. It's their first Armored Core game since Dark Souls, right? Gotcha. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that F1 does the career story thing. I feel like it would be really hard to try to structure appropriately. I'm very sympathetic to the idea that it's frustrating that these games have kind of like stalled out. No one wants to do a narrative-driven one or one that's about anything other than just getting in first place on a big list of races. But at the same time, I wonder if there's a design issue there where like, so what does it mean to make a campaign in a racing game that's still like trying to be like a motorsport game, right? Where like the main method of interaction is driving on a racetrack. Are you just designing the individual courses such that like the AI is so good or their cars are so much better than yours that you're guaranteed to not be able to come in first, and that's why they say try to get 5th or 6th in this race? Like, is that as substantively different from the current ecosystem as it seems, or is it just like cheating the AI or cheating the car construction or whatever? Because I don't think you want to make a game like that where it's possible to get first place on every race early on, right? Like you want to, I mean, maybe you want to try to have it be like, you know, Sekiro or something where you play through the whole game, you struggle, you die, you lose over and over and over, you overcome, you beat it, and then you start the game over and you beat the first race and you get first place because now you know how to play it. But I guess with like the simulationist racer, if you're not significantly changing like the formula of how the game feels to play in between installments, I guess I don't know what that looks like is what I'm trying to imagine here. I think of Sekiro where like you definitely have transferable skills from Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 and Bloodborne when you come into Sekiro, but I expect that like 0 players have beaten Genichiro on their first try when they first played Sekiro, because while some things are transferable, the core gameplay has changed significantly enough, right? But you need to have that experience of Sekiro teaching you how to play it. But I guess maybe the game you're imagining is one that's not for the existing ultra hardcore fan base of racing games. It's the thing I was talking about earlier, is why doesn't this game have a campaign to teach me how to play it, right? Why doesn't it have a track that's like really extremely laid out to force me to understand why ABS is important, or how I'm supposed to shift on a turn or something? It kind of just throws all this sandbox stuff at you and says, figure it out. And wouldn't it be cool if there was a game that actually tried to teach you, like, you know, a video game or something? I'm gonna finish this on A, and then I'll go to a rear wheel drive car. I have to say that really slowly, or I slur through it. Armored Core 2 looks like Mega Man Legends. I heard when they first announced Armored Core 6 that they were going to make it like a Souls-like. I'm like, they're not going to do that. They shouldn't do that. They should be able to make a different game. Much as I would play Schmark Schmoles for the rest of my life, if they just wanted to make 1,000 entries of it, I don't care. Inject it into my veins. Hierarchy of teams with different budgets. God, we're back in the exhaust backfire class. Three Sekiros apart. Okay. Gotcha. Thank you. On vibes, I know exactly what you mean when you say that. Ooh-wee. Sure. I understand that more with F1, that like Williams is such a bad team compared to all of the like first, second, and third place teams. That's, if you put like the god of F1 racing into a Williams car, could they get first place? Is it like physically possible? I was kind of under the impression that the answer was no. But I guess you could make an interesting video game out of that, or it's like you're expected to get, I don't know, next to last place, but you actually get like fourth place, and that's crazy. Pinewood Derby ass racing competition. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I guess my question is, I wonder, can you do that? Can you just hack Forza Motorsport 4 and impose that kind of structure on this game as it exists right now? Or do you have to start breaking things and deciding that you're going to abstract certain things for certain races or whatever, right? what's your design space toolbox? You have a lot of things in the physics engine you can turn on and off, and you have a lot of different cards that you can force the player to use or not use. Like, I think the design space toolbox is restriction based more so than it is adding new things, right? So, okay, here's a race that you have to do with a Ford Fiesta or whatever, right? And also it's a Ford Fiesta where the brakes are extra shitty or something. Start from scratch. It doesn't lend itself to the car Pokemon approach, yeah. Having a minigame for contract negotiations would be fun. I think even if you just like tried to like put this game in MLB Power Pros, that's the visual novel baseball game. You just do MLB Power Pros, you have a goofy Japanese visual novel that's punctuated with races, and then you direct the visual novel. That might be a fun little goof that would be easy enough to do with the existing tech. The visual novel is literally just text. Yeah, I think I agree it would need to be arcade leaning. I think everything about the simulationist formula kind of stops you from making a game out of it, or is a barrier to making a game out of it. You can make a game that's like on top of this one, like a secondary loop that interacts with this one, but I think it'd be cool to have like a race where like you're driving on ice or your brakes don't work at all in this race, right? I feel like they wouldn't do in this kind of game here's a race where your brakes don't work. Do your best, right? Right. Here's a race where you're, for supernatural reasons, your tires are getting super hot or super cold all the time. There's so many dials to fuck with, and like the genre seems completely uninterested in fucking with them, or turning them to their extremes at least. And that's like frustrating because I think that game design in a lot of ways is turning dials to their extremes and asking, okay, what does this do? Here's a race where we just use the same track we had, but now the road is sticky and the grass behaves like pavement, right? Maybe that doesn't like lead to an actual like sensible race, but then you do the game design thing if you adjust it so that it is. That would be really funny. It'd be a really fun fantasy racing game. I think that's kind of what you have to do, and I think that's why like Driver San Francisco is awesome and Burnout is awesome, because it's just like, what if you were a ghost who could possess cars? What the fuck? Who thought of that? Why didn't you call your game Ghost Car or something? Why did you still just call it Driver, name of city? How did this happen? Probably a really good... I'd love to see somebody make an indie Driver San Francisco and actually come up with a good title for it. It's probably like a poltergeist pun you could make or something like that. Oop. And the licensing aspect seems like it's like borderline strictly bad for the medium. Or maybe a better way to put it is that the amount of joy that's increased on average for the average racing game fan by being able to drive a real car is probably not worth the average amount of loss of joy that comes from all of the hassle involved in having to get everything licensed and approved and perfect. It seems to be kind of a frustrating, it is what it is attitude, like an abnormally frustrating it is what it is attitude with racing games. That's just kind of how it is. We can never dream or demand bigger than this. It's not about joy, it's about hype and credibility. Right. Yeah, it seems like fans of like football games still at least have the goddamn courtesy to be like, EA sucks and they're bad stewards of the franchise. Like, I've heard like passionate American football fans complain about the games being roster updates, right? And the same for like FIFA as well. People who really love soccer will complain that FIFA is a big scam. But I guess I'm curious how many hardcore racing fans are in your boat where you're like super annoyed. It does sound like a lot of racing fans do feel that there's some kind of stagnation that's happened, but or like a longing for the good old days. Sure. Oh shit. Downshifted way too much there. Maybe part of the issue is that like the problems are pretty complex and difficult to articulate, but that a lot of racing game fans feel that something is wrong, but maybe aren't able to really like efficiently voice what that feeling is. They just know that it doesn't feel as good as it used to, right? I do think games and art in general run into problems where there end up being these sort of subtle problems with the art that people can kind of feel and gesture broadly toward without being able to really articulate short of a 4-hour video essay. You son of a bitch. You know how they just keep like passing me on straightaways like that? Whoa, it's not ready to turn there. I'm still doing the automatic upgrades. That was working for me before. I don't know what changed. Oh, that was really bad. I was pressing the button in the wrong direction again. I don't get up. Tried to rewind there and it didn't let me. Weird. Does it not let you when you're close to the finish line or something? I still need to accelerate up to 5th gear, right? I shift up whenever the thing is in the red. So if it doesn't get in the red in 4th gear, I don't shift up to 5th. Rewind doesn't work after that when it finishes. Okay, I guess that makes sense. You can't just like jockey to get a place right at the very end. Wouldn't that make me go slower? Isn't the entire point that I'm driving most efficiently when I'm right about to be in the red? 5th gear isn't like go faster mode, right? Tell me, watch me play here and tell me where you would have been in 5th gear where I'm not in 5th gear. I don't think I have the intuition for what you're talking about. The questions I was asking in prior episodes were that I need to get to the red or close to the red and then shift. And then if I shift too early, I'm not going to be going as fast or as moving as efficiently as if I was in a lower gear. What would I change if I wanted to go manually tweak the car to fix the top speed problem? Is there like a specific thing I can adjust? The engine, I guess? I could turn on automatic transmission for a level and that would just conclusively determine whether the problem is my shifting, right? I suddenly get in first place. I guess the inconsistency of the enemy AI makes that hard to gauge. That's the thing that's abstract in the way this game is structured that I find very frustrating. The idea that, like, that's not, there's no attempt made to include that in the, like, the class score that it generates. Like, how I read that score where it's like, this is a B763 is like, okay, so the parts in this car are good enough to make it competitive with other cars that have this score. And I get that it's like hard to calculate that score properly because there's a lot of things that go into it, like handling and stuff. But it's weird that you can kind of intuitively say, oh, maybe a four-wheel drive car in A-class isn't good. I'm like, what? Why does it even let me do it in a four-wheel drive if that's true, right? Like, I believe you that that's true, but it's frustrating that the game is structured to even let me fuck that up. At some point it cuts you off. At some point it says this car can't go into S-class, right? So they just not calibrated super smartly, maybe? Sure. But I imagine that the class tiers, at least with regards to the computer difficulty, right? Like, I assume the computer is never going to pick a car for first place that doesn't have the stats necessary for it to win. Oops, I think I heard tangent a bit there. So if they just limited me to the same cars that the first, second, and third place computers are limited to, that would be fine. I wonder if it comes out of a desire to let the player use whatever car they want, quote unquote, but not actually. Okay, I could just start doing that. I'd rather do that, honestly. Like, I'm only doing the use the same car until the game physically stops me strategy because it's less brain power, but I'd rather the game impose more structure on me and force me to do certain things. Guy's got a big chin. We go with the big chin. It's annoying to like select the restricted events though. This, I actually hate this menu, I think this menu is an affront to God and man. It's not that bad, but like as someone who doesn't know anything about these games, this is one of the worst menus I've ever encountered in a video game. It's really bad. So like if I wanted to pick a restrictive event here, I would need to like select it, and it would say your car's not valid. You need to select a different car, and then it would pick a valid car if I had it. But if I didn't have it, I would have to leave and go buy that car. Yeah. And then once I find a car, like what I wanted to do is I want to click this, and if there are no cars, I wanted to say, here's some cars that you could buy that would be perfect for this class. And just press A to confirm, and you bought the car. Now you can race with it immediately. I don't want to like back out, like study the car buying menu. I guess I can have a bad time in this one. I hit Y for opponents. Okay, let me back up. Lotus 211. So I have to go out. I have to go to cars. I have to go to buy cars. I can't. Can I search? Oh, God. The 211. Okay. Where was that thing? There it is. This is still A class question mark? Yes, okay. Well, theoretically, it's the same thing I was just doing, although the car looks much fancier. Oh boy. Well, I'll get annihilated. I want to see if the top speed is right, I guess. Oh God, I hate this. Okay, it's fine. I'll get used to it. Give me back my Ford Fiesta. Oh, the ass swinging just feels so... It feels good eventually, right? Kind of a cool looking track. I might actually remember this one. Dude, I'm just permanently trying to control my ass here. I'll try this a couple times and I'll go into a different level, I guess. Well, I think the main difference here is just that this is rear wheel drive, right? I have to find a native A front wheel drive, and maybe that doesn't exist. Give me back my Ford Fiesta. Oh my God, my ass. I have no idea how to control it. Like, I'm trying to understand, like, conceptually. I just start, like, moving the stick, and then I swing in the other direction, and then I move the stick, and I swing in the other direction. Is traction what's doing this? I guess my problem is I'm completely incapable of diagnosing what's happening. I can't really learn at the moment. I see, so that's not super noticeable on front-wheel drive. Fortunately, I can't use the rumble because there's rumble on this map whenever you drive over, like, cobblestone. Back wheel man. Yeah, it just feels like I have no control over the car. I'm like praying. I'm sure I'll get there eventually, but it's really funny that like rear-wheel drive is like the standard for racing because it just seems like it sucks. As someone who's like a non-enthusiast, like, wow, it's like driving but worse. What feels fast and what is fast can be different. I see, yeah. I guess that's maybe a downside too. I remember when the first time I rode a motorcycle, I kind of appreciated how fucking fast like 40 miles an hour is. It's real scary if you get up to like highway speeds on a motorcycle. If you're going like 70, 75, you're like, shit. Being in a big metal cage kind of insulates you from the terror of this speed. But I imagine that you have that extra like layer of insulation from how fast you're going in a video game, right? I don't know how they could possibly convey to you speed in the way that like a, I don't know, Sonic the Hedgehog game does or something. Whole ass is one thing instead of half-assing two things. Like in a positive way, you're like, this feels way better to drive, you mean? Oh, you actually unlock the interesting tracks here, too. Said rear-wheel drive evolved first, front-wheel drive was later and mostly for like economy cars. It's funny if front wheel was first and then they come up with rear wheel drive and it's like, you know, what if driving sucked more? Although I do have to give credit that, like, doing the front-wheel drive cars for most of the game has kind of just felt like, well, it's like Mario Kart, but it's Mario Kart QWOP, and the controls are kind of janky, so just do your best to not crash. Here, it kind of feels like I'm playing a different thing than just Mario Kart, which is interesting. Doesn't just feel like Mario Kart, but unresponsive. Well, it was probably helpful for me to learn the shifting on a car that wasn't as brutal. Yeah, I don't think I should go back to front-wheel drive. Like, this is hard and kind of miserable because I don't like the feeling of my ass swinging around constantly, but I don't think the safety blanket of first-wheel drive is helping me to understand this genre at all. But I don't think that playing it on front wheel for as long as I did was a mistake. It's just, it feels like a different game now. Oh shit, god damn it. Acoustic bridge didn't shut off again. 1 second, let me finish this race. You might hear more slack sounds. I need to like add a checklist thing to check that 3 times before I start stream. Actually off now. Some of the turns I'm using the oomph of the car to power through the turn. Eye strain again. I need to start wearing glasses on streaming. I have those like anti-glare glasses that might help with this. Could see. I'll keep trying to do the restricted courses here. Oh, that was way more damage than I realized. Oops. I see. I definitely prefer these courses. I feel like they have more identity to them. Like, almost all of the other courses in the game before this cup have felt like very samey. Like, when riding on a motorcycle, it's always significantly more fun to ride on like twisty roads like this because you get to do all kinds of cool counter steering stuff. Those are all real world tracks. Shit. Wasn't able to turn there as much as I thought I could. I guess the problem is, like, I can kind of acknowledge that, okay, I'm performing better in this car, but it just feels like it's harder, and I can't tell if I'm performing better because the car is just, because like the AI is worse, right? Like, I'm not able to couple the struggle that I'm putting into steer to improve performance at all. It's just like I'm like holding on for my life to not have my ass swing into the opposite side of the track, and then I happen to be in 3rd or 2nd place instead of 4th or 5th place. And those seem like completely unrelated to each other. It's very interesting and strange. Well, like, I can start drifting in Mario Kart and get the sparks or whatever, and that's harder to do than just driving it normally. But I can, like, pretty clearly see on the screen the fruits of my labor. Here, just like, what? Trying to keep my ass from swinging out, and somehow I'm driving better. I guess it feels like if I'm already in a turn, I can accelerate more easily. Best drivers thrive when their car is on the edge of control. Interesting. See if this helps at all. If I ever update the go live screen with new frames from past streams, suddenly have glasses out of nowhere again. I remember this level. This was like the level you started in when you booted the game up before you're allowed to go in the options menu. Perfect. Well, we know drifting is bad in this game, right? Because you're always on pavement. I like what it does with the sound when you're in the tunnel. That's cool. Still feel like I have a top speed problem. Same problem when I just can't make it to first and second unless if there's significant twisty bits where the computer can fuck up. Shit. What is launching? I just think I'm already coming at this with my ass swung too far out. Ah, okay. Oops. Ouch. I think those glasses are helping too. I like this track a lot. These are a lot more fun to race on. Yeah, makes sense. Okay. I keep doing these. Gumpert Apollo. Oh, is it? I guess I can do one and fail and then back out and do a different thing. Why does it go from S to R3? What does R3 mean? Okay. Race cars, okay. The R1 is the fastest. I'm okay to get annihilated here. I just want to see what it is. Again, I hate that menu. I see. I feel like they should have a very limited amount of upgrading within a class. But I don't like the ability to go in between classes. I just skip first and second. Whoa! Video games. Okay. Cool. I didn't even touch anything. I was in the wall. Now, this is what I remember from Gran Turismo 3. I need to make it far enough that I can actually use the rewind, because it's faster than restarting the whole race. So, like, the better the car is, the shittier it controls. Or I guess it's just the effects of higher top speed that makes it feel like that. Would real-life racers not want a traction control system? Are they better at managing it themselves? Well, the reason I spun out at the beginning last time was because of traction? You're kidding. I thought the ass swinging was bad before. Incorrect. Probably needed to brake there. Whoops. It would be seen as desirable racing leagues ban it. Gotcha. Skill cap thing. The main way I decelerate is by crashing into the wall. It's great. Oh, someone finished. God damn it. It's really annoying. Well, I was about to get third place. That's fine. Lesson learned, that's hard. Bentley Cont SS. This Continental Super Sports. Oh, why is it even letting me? It's just letting me look at it to paint it? I think I managed to avoid buying a duplicate unnecessarily. Four-wheel drive, okay. It's really funny here. The fancier the car gets, like, the more it controls like shit. I guess it makes sense. I get it. It's like, well, that's part of the challenge because your car's so powerful now. It really wants to go forward, so good luck, idiot. Is four-wheel drive uncommon in racing? Weird. Bentley just happened to make one. Provides a traction advantage. Interesting. I think here it's already too late for me to slow down the amount I need to slow down to negotiate this turn. And then it weighs a lot. I need like a weight sensor mode where instead of seeing the car, I see like a heat map of weights compared to everybody else's cars. Oh, those numbers don't mean shit to me. Does it like say super heavy? I guess I can try to learn. I can look at like the Ford Fiesta and say, okay, that's 2 Ford Fiestas or whatever. Oh, shit. Sometimes I can't tell if downshifting is going to get me in big trouble or not. Low to mid 3,000 pounds is above average. like this car very much. It seems like it has all of the downsides of the slower cars I was using before, and all of the downsides of the faster cars I was just messing with. Fiesta and the Micra put together, wow. It doesn't look like it at all. Probably have time to do one more race here. I might switch off this car though. This guy's like a happy little bear. It's too cool looking. Too many cool snakes. I'm okay with a cool frog. I don't like a cool snake. You could be a frog face for this. Let me get off this piece of shit Bentley. Aston Vantage. This one? Oh no, that can't be right because it's like ancient, right? Fuck, they talking about this? Eat this car. Horrible face. Boring. Not an advantage, just a vantage. Makes sense. Oh, really? Do I have to go in and press? I thought this was one of the ones that was listed. Did I take the wrong Aston Vantage? There were several options. They were all called the same thing. Oh, God, okay. Buy a game. Like, what's even the fucking point is what's, like, baffling about it. I feel like this mode needs to be, like maybe you can turn on a sandbox mode or something, but the default version of Eventless should be you click on this map and it's like, hey, these are like the 5 cars we want to feature in this event. Which of them do you want to use, right? And then it picks that one. Oh, you don't own this car. Well, you can buy it. Press X to buy. Okay, bought. Cool, got it. I like your game if you'd explain what's happening. And I guess, like, again, we said that Forza Motorsport 4 is already like Babby's first simulationist racing game. It's about as like accessible as you could possibly get. So it could be worse. Oops. I may have asked this, but I got the answer. When I turn on realistic damage, does that affect the other cars? If they like slam into a wall, are they like gimped for the rest of the race, essentially? Forza hides the interesting stuff from you. Gotcha. So far, I think the most fun I've had in this game was the big Alps level with the Lotus car. That was a lot of fun, actually. Felt like I was playing something different. Felt like the controls were vibing a little bit. I didn't have a full command of it yet, but like it at least felt like I was in. It's not just what if Mario Kart controlled badly. God. I'm very used to like starting on a straightaway and then like glancing over at chat, but the rear wheel drive does not permit that. Not at the end. I hate you all. Future Marstead, next episode, I guess ABS comes off, which shouldn't be that huge with the way you're already playing, but we'll see how it plays out. Don't upgrade car classes anymore. It's dumb. Just press the Y button to see what the other racers are using and just use the top car in the list. But double check to make sure it's not like super heavy or 4-wheel drive or something. Maybe chat can help you with noticing that.